You know, it's wild when you really stop and think about it. You've been programmed, not by some secret society or a hidden elite pulling the strings behind the scenes. No, it's something way closer to home. It's your parents, your teachers, the culture you grew up in, and most surprisingly, your own mind. But here's the real question. Are you really you? Or are you just a patchwork of borrowed ideas, conditioned reactions, and the expectations society has piled on you? Think about it for a second. The way you talk, the way you dress, the goals you chase. Did you genuinely pick those things yourself? Or were they handed to you long before you even had the chance to question them? From the moment you took your first breath, you've been soaking up the world around you, copying what you saw, fitting in where you could. Every compliment, every punishment, every silent rule shaped you into what the world wanted you to be. And over time, you forgot who you were before the world told you who to be. But here's the good news. There's a way out of this maze. By the end of this video, you're going to know how to break free from that illusion, the false version of yourself that's been built up over the years. You're going to uncover the real you, the one buried beneath all those layers of conditioning. The question is, are you ready to wake up? Let me tell you about Jim. Jim had it all. Respect, money, a loving family. The kind of life that makes people stop and say, wow, he's got it made. A high-paying job, a beautiful house, friends who admired him. He followed the script of success perfectly. But inside, something didn't feel right. Every morning, as Jim straightened his tie in the mirror, a quiet voice whispered, "This isn't really you." He'd push it aside. After all, what did that even mean? Of course, this was him. He built this life with his own choices, didn't he? But that voice never really went away. It was like a shadow, following him around, whispering at the most random moments during small talk at work, at dinner, with his family, even in the quiet moments before bed. Then, one day, everything cracked wide open. It happened during a board meeting. Jim was sitting at a long glass table, nodding along as his colleagues spoke. His boss cracked a joke, and everyone laughed, Jim included. But as he chuckled, something inside him snapped. Why was he laughing? Did he even find the joke funny? The realization hit him like a lightning bolt. He wasn't laughing because he wanted to. He was laughing because it was expected of him. In that moment, the truth was impossible to ignore. He had spent years performing, playing a role so well, that even he had started to believe it was real. He excused himself, rushed to the bathroom, and stared at his reflection. The face looking back felt like a stranger, a man who had spent decades being exactly what everyone else wanted him to be. And that's when the panic set in. Because if he wasn't the person he'd been pretending to be, then who was he? The idea that we wear a mask to fit in was something Carl Jung called the persona. It's the version of ourselves that we piece together to be accepted by society. As kids, we quickly learn which behaviors get us approval and which get us rejection. Speak too loudly, be quiet, show too much emotion, calm down, have an unpopular opinion, just go with the flow. We adapt. We become what's expected of us. We learn to smile when we don't feel like it, to agree when we actually disagree, to hide parts of ourselves because showing them might mean rejection. And as we grow, we get rewarded for it. The persona helps us survive. It helps us get jobs, make friends, avoid conflict. Society loves people who fit the mold. But here's the catch. All of this comes at a cost. The cost is authenticity. The cost is slowly losing touch with the real you. How many times have you laughed at a joke that didn't even make you smile? How often have you held back your true thoughts just to keep the peace? How many times have you played a role instead of just being yourself? It's easy to brush these things off as harmless. But the truth is, the longer you wear that mask, the more you forget who you really are underneath it. And then one day, just like Jim, you wake up and realize you've been living someone else's life. There's a part of you that you refuse to acknowledge, lurking just beneath the surface of your awareness, quietly influencing your actions in ways you don't even notice. Jung called this hidden part the shadow. It's the side of your psyche that holds all the emotions, desires, and traits you've been taught to suppress. The more you push it away, the more power it holds over you. But here's the kicker. Most people don't even realize it's there. Think about the last time someone insulted you. Maybe they called you lazy, selfish, or weak. How did you react? Anger, defensiveness, denial. But why? If it wasn't true, why did it sting so much? Because deep down, some part of you fears it might be true. That's your shadow at work. It's storing everything you don't want to admit about yourself. The fears, the flaws, the desires you've buried so deep you've convinced yourself they don't exist. But they do exist, and they're shaping your life every single day, ever. Notice how certain people just get under your skin for no clear reason. Maybe you despise arrogance, yet you find yourself drawn to confident people. Or you can't stand attention seekers, but secretly wish you had the guts to stand out. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The traits you hate in others are often reflections of your own shadow. They're parts of yourself you've rejected, qualities you were told were wrong or unacceptable. Maybe as a kid, you were punished for being too bold, so you buried that part of yourself. Now, when you see someone else being bold, it triggers you. Maybe you were taught that showing vulnerability is weakness, so you hide your feelings. Now, when you see someone openly expressing theirs, you mock them. It's not that you actually hate those traits in others. You hate that you're not allowed to express them yourself. Suppressing your shadow is dangerous because the more you ignore it, the more control it has over you. It shows up in passive-aggressive comments, sudden outbursts of anger, self-sabotage, unexplained fears, and insecurities. You can try to bury it, pretend it's not there. Keep wearing your persona like everything's fine, but the shadow never disappears, it just waits. And one day, when you least expect it, it bursts out. And when it does, it doesn't ask for permission. So, what exactly is this shadow that Carl Jung talked about? Think of it as the hidden side of your personality, the parts of yourself you don't want to admit, the traits you push away or deny because they don't fit the image you want to show the world. It's not just the bad stuff either. The shadow holds everything you've repressed, fears, anger, jealousy, but also strengths and desires you've been taught to hide. Jung described the shadow as the hidden, repressed, for the most part inferior and guilt-laden part of ourselves. It's everything we think we're not. If your persona is the mask you wear to be accepted, the shadow is the mask you don't want anyone to see, sometimes even yourself. Now, here's what's really important. The shadow isn't just a dark, evil force. It's also a source of energy, creativity, and potential. For example, if you've been told that being assertive is selfish, you might suppress that part of yourself. But that assertiveness doesn't disappear, it just hides in your shadow. Meanwhile, you might feel powerless or resentful because you're not standing up for yourself. That's your shadow trying to get your attention. The problem is, when we deny our shadow, it doesn't just vanish. It sneaks into our lives in sneaky ways, like sudden anger outbursts, passive-aggressive behavior, or self-sabotage. You might find yourself reacting strongly to things that don't seem to deserve it, or feeling empty even when everything looks fine on the surface. One of the ways the shadow shows up is through projection. This is when you see in other people the traits you refuse to accept in yourself. For instance, if you hate arrogance in others, it might be because you're afraid to admit your own confidence. Or if you get irritated by someone's boldness, it could be because you've buried your own desire to be bold. This inner conflict between the persona and the shadow creates a kind of war inside us. On one side, the persona tells you to be polite when you want to be blunt, to be selfless when you crave recognition, to smile when you want to scream. On the other side, the shadow holds all those suppressed urges and emotions, waiting for a chance to break free. Jung believed that this conflict is at the heart of human struggle. The more you ignore your shadow, the darker and more powerful it becomes. It's like a volcano building pressure beneath the surface. If it doesn't get a healthy release, it will erupt in destructive ways. So, what does this mean for you? It means that the parts of yourself you've been taught to reject are actually part of who you are. The key is not to fight or bury your shadow, but to integrate it, to bring those hidden parts into your conscious awareness and find a way to express them in a healthy, balanced way. This process is what Jung called individuation, the journey of becoming whole by embracing both your persona and your shadow. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about reclaiming the parts of yourself you've abandoned and learning to live authentically. But how do you start? First, you need to observe your persona, the mask you wear for the world. Ask yourself, what parts of me are just roles I play to fit in? When do I act differently around different people? What am I hiding? Then, look at your shadow by noticing what triggers you in others. What qualities do you dislike or judge harshly? Those are clues to what's lurking beneath the surface in you. From there, you can begin to engage with your shadow. This might mean journaling about your hidden feelings, meditating on moments when you felt strong emotions like anger or shame, or even imagining a conversation with your shadow to understand what it wants from you. The goal isn't to get rid of your shadow, it's to accept it as part of your whole self. When you stop fighting those hidden parts, you stop wasting energy on denial and repression. Instead, you gain access to new sources of strength, creativity, and freedom. On the next part, we'll dive deeper into practical steps you can take to start this journey of self-discovery and integration. But for now, just remember, the real you has always been there, waiting beneath the surface. It's time to meet that person. Alright, now that we've unpacked what the persona and the shadow really are, let's talk about how you can start breaking free from the false identity you've been conditioned into. How do you discover the person you were meant to be, the one who existed before the world told you who to be? Carl Jung called this process individuation. It's a journey of integrating your persona and your shadow to become whole. And trust me, it's not about becoming someone completely new or perfect. It's about reclaiming the parts of yourself you've abandoned or buried over the years. But here's the thing. Individuation isn't easy. It takes courage, honesty, and a willingness to face parts of yourself that might feel uncomfortable or even scary. But it's the only path to true self-awareness and freedom. So, how do you begin? Let's break it down into 3 practical steps. Step 1. Observe your persona. Your persona is the version of yourself that interacts with the world, the mask you wear to be accepted by your family, friends, co-workers, and even yourself. But how much of that mask is really you? Take a moment right now and write down 5 words that describe how others see you. Are you seen as kind, intelligent, funny, responsible, hardworking? Now, ask yourself, are these traits truly who I am, or are they just roles I play to fit in? 4. Example. If people see you as nice, but deep down you constantly suppress your real thoughts to avoid conflict, then nice is a persona trait, not your authentic self. Or if people see you as confident, but you secretly battle insecurity, your persona is hiding a deeper struggle. Start paying attention to how you act differently in different situations. Are you quieter around authority figures, more agreeable with friends, more serious at work? Your persona isn't inherently bad, it helps you function in society. But when it becomes your entire identity, you lose touch with your true self. Once you recognize your persona, you can start to uncover what it's been hiding. Step 2. Identify your shadow. If your persona is what you show the world, your shadow is what you hide, the emotions, desires, and impulses you were taught to reject. The easiest way to identify your shadow is to look at the people who irritate you the most. Make a list of traits that annoy you in others. Maybe arrogance frustrates you, or cowardice, or people who constantly seek attention. Now ask yourself, why do these traits trigger me so much? Jung believed that the qualities we hate most in others are often reflections of the qualities we suppress in ourselves. If arrogance irritates you, is it because you suppress your own confidence? If cowardice frustrates you, is it because you avoid facing your own fears? If attention seekers annoy you, could it be that you secretly crave recognition but don't allow yourself to seek it? Your shadow isn't just your dark side, it contains hidden strengths too. A shy person might have a suppressed boldness waiting to be expressed. A people pleaser might have a buried assertiveness that needs to emerge. A passive person might have a repressed drive to take control of their life. The traits you deny don't disappear. They manifest unconsciously through anxiety, passive aggression, or self-sabotage. To become whole, you must acknowledge these hidden parts of yourself. Step 3. Integrate the shadow. Once you've identified your shadow, the next step is integration, embracing what you've been avoiding and finding healthy ways to express it. Instead of denying your shadow, channel it. If you suppress anger, turn it into assertion. Learn to stand up for yourself and set boundaries. If you suppress ambition, allow yourself to strive for more. Stop pretending you don't care about success. If you fear failure, use it as fuel for action. Don't let the fear of what might go wrong stop you from trying. Jung himself used a technique called active imagination, where he engaged in deep inner dialogue with his shadow. He would imagine speaking to the darker parts of his mind, asking what they wanted, why they existed, and how they could be integrated. You can do something similar through journaling, meditation, or creative expression. Write a letter to your shadow, ask it what it wants. Meditate on moments when you felt strong emotions like anger, shame, or jealousy? What were those feelings trying to tell you? Channel your hidden traits into creativity, art, music, writing, and let them have a voice. The goal isn't to eliminate your shadow, but to accept it as part of who you are. True power doesn't come from suppressing your darkness, it comes from owning it. When you stop fighting yourself, you finally become whole. For the next 24 hours, try this: become a silent observer of your own life. Watch yourself not as you want to be, but as you truly are. Notice the little moments when you fake a smile just to be polite, the times you laugh at a joke that isn't funny just to fit in, the hesitation before you speak your mind because you're afraid of what others might think. Observe how often you change yourself to match your surroundings at work, with friends, around family. Then ask yourself, who is really in control? Is it you, or is it the carefully constructed persona you've been taught to maintain? Individuation isn't about throwing away everything you've been, it's about stripping away what isn't truly you. It's about uncovering the person you were before the world told you who to be. Your real self has always been there, waiting, beneath the layers of expectations, social conditioning, and unconscious fears. The question is, are you ready to meet them? Now that you've started observing your persona and identifying your shadow, it's time to dive deeper into what happens when you begin to integrate these parts of yourself. Because this isn't just some abstract psychological theory, it's a real transformative process that can change how you live your life every day. Let's talk about what integration looks like in practice. When you begin to accept your shadow, you start noticing things you never saw before. Maybe you realize that the anger you've been suppressing is actually a sign that you need to set boundaries, or that the jealousy you felt wasn't just envy of someone else's success, but a signal of your own unfulfilled desires. Integration means learning to listen to those hidden parts instead of pushing them away. It means giving yourself permission to feel your full range of emotions without judgment. It means being honest with yourself about your fears, your flaws, and your dreams. And here's the beautiful part: when you start embracing your shadow, you also unlock new sources of creativity and energy. That boldness you buried, it becomes a powerful force that helps you take risks and pursue your passions. That suppressed ambition, it fuels your drive to grow and succeed on your own terms. But be warned, this process isn't always comfortable. Facing your shadow means confronting parts of yourself you might have been avoiding for years. It can bring up feelings of shame, guilt, or fear. You might feel vulnerable or exposed. That's okay. It's part of the journey. Remember Jim from the beginning. After his realization in the boardroom, he didn't just ignore that voice anymore. He started paying attention to it. He began to question the life he'd built and the choices he'd made. It was scary at first, but over time, he started peeling back the layers of his persona. He faced his shadow, the parts of himself he'd hidden to fit in, and slowly, Jim began to reclaim his authenticity. He stopped pretending to be someone else and started living in a way that felt true to him. His relationships improved, his work became more meaningful, and he finally felt a sense of peace he hadn't known before. That's the power of individuation. It's not about being perfect, it's about being real. So how do you keep moving forward on this path? Here are a few tips. Practice self-compassion. Be gentle with yourself as you uncover parts of your shadow. This isn't about beating yourself up, it's about understanding and acceptance. Create safe spaces. Find people or environments where you can express your true self without fear of judgment. This could be a trusted friend, a therapist, or a creative outlet. Stay curious. Instead of reacting defensively to your triggers, try to explore what they're really about. Ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Be patient. Integration is a lifelong process. There will be setbacks and moments of doubt. That's normal. Keep going. Celebrate progress. Every time you show up authentically, every time you express a suppressed part of yourself, acknowledge it. These small victories add up. By embracing your shadow and integrating it with your persona, you're not just breaking free from a false identity, you're creating a new way of being, one where you're whole, authentic, and free. And here's something to keep in mind. The world needs your real self. Not the mask you wear to fit in, but the genuine, imperfect, powerful person underneath. When you show up as your true self, you inspire others to do the same. You create deeper connections, more meaningful relationships, and a life that truly belongs to you. So, are you ready to take the next step, to stop living a borrowed life and start owning your story? Your journey starts now. So here we are, the final part of this journey into understanding who you really are beneath all the layers of conditioning. You've learned about the persona, the mask you wear to fit in, and the shadow, the hidden parts of yourself you've been taught to suppress. You've seen how these two sides create an inner conflict, and how the path to wholeness lies in integrating both. But what happens after you've started this process? How do you keep growing, keep evolving, and keep showing up as your authentic self every day? First, remember that self-awareness is a lifelong practice. This isn't a one-time fix or a quick hack. It's about continually checking in with yourself, noticing when you slip back into old patterns, when you put on the mask just to please others, or when your shadow tries to take over in unhealthy ways. One of the most powerful tools you can use is mindfulness. Being mindful means paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors without judgment. When you catch yourself reacting automatically, maybe laughing at a joke you don't find funny, or holding back your true opinion, pause and ask, is this really me? Or is this my persona playing a role? Mindfulness creates space between you and your reactions, giving you the power to choose how you want to respond. Over time, this space helps you live more authentically. Another important practice is setting boundaries. When you start embracing your true self, you might find that some relationships or environments no longer fit. That's okay. Saying no to what doesn't serve you is a vital part of honoring your authenticity. It might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to people-pleasing or avoiding conflict, but it's necessary for your growth. Also, don't underestimate the power of creative expression, whether it's writing, painting, music, or any other form of art. Creativity allows your shadow to speak in ways words sometimes can't. It's a safe outlet to explore your hidden desires, fears, and strengths. Plus, it connects you with parts of yourself that might have been silent for years. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. Talking to trusted friends, mentors, or a therapist can provide support and guidance as you navigate this sometimes challenging path. Sharing your journey can be incredibly freeing. It reminds you that you're not alone and that growth is possible. Now, here's the truth that ties it all together. The real you, the authentic whole person, has always been inside you. You just needed to peel back the layers of conditioning, expectation, and fear to find them. When you stop living according to others' scripts and start writing your own, life becomes richer, more meaningful, and more joyful. You create a life that feels like yours, not a life borrowed from someone else's expectations. So, what's next? Start small. Pick one thing from this video that resonated with you. Maybe it's observing your persona for a day. Maybe it's journaling about the traits you dislike in others and what they might reveal about your shadow. Maybe it's practicing mindfulness during a conversation or setting a small boundary. Whatever it is, take that first step, because every journey begins with a single step, and every step brings you closer to the freedom of being truly yourself. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into psychology and self-discovery. Hit that like button if you're ready to break free from the masks and start living authentically, and share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. Thanks for watching, and remember, your journey to the real you starts now.